Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry, and today talking about our Week 11 loss, Week 11, I believe it is, to the Detroit Lions. So I was on my way back home from Chicago, so I listened to the first half in the car, and then I was able to watch the the second half when I got back. And so I know what happened, but as I've always tell you, you got to actually watch how it happened. So I wanted to go back and rewatch the first half, which is why I'm getting this out later than usually instead of right after the game. So I just wanted to confirm those things. But anyway, I found myself this weekend at a high school playoff game. And as I was watching these two teams, I couldn't help but think about certain high school offenses. Now, you go to certain states, especially like California, even Florida, you'll see a more sophisticated passing game. But a lot of high schools, especially in the Midwest, you'll see this very run-centric, hide the quarterback type offenses, even for the teams that dominate and win. And I bring that up because I'm watching the Bears, and I couldn't help but think of that. Now, I'm not talking about, triple wing, single wing type stuff, but in terms of the philosophy and the mentality, it is very much the same. So Justin Fields comes back, and I had this discussion a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, in terms of I feel like the offense and they're allowed to be a little more creative because you don't have Justin Fields. Because if I'm thinking about it, Justin Fields, and especially with the whole, I guess, narrative around it, because you're in the NFL, you get pressured into the politics of having to do certain things. And so with Bagent, not saying Bagent is better, I've said before, but with Bagent, you're allowed to do different things and not worry so much about how you have to utilize the quarterback. You more so, obviously, you're going to play to the quarterback's strength, but you more so get to have a system and let the quarterback fill in it instead of trying to mold everything around the quarterback. And that limits you. So Justin comes back, and I get it. You watch first of all, he's a superior athlete who's always been that, and he fit perfectly fine into not running the ball barely ever, nowhere near like this prior to the Bears. So we know it's possible, but you watch him run, he's such an athlete, and I get the initial feeling for a lot of fans. I'm sure the owners and some coaches is like, man, we just gotta keep letting him do that. But that is not a winning offense. It's just not. It just reminded me, obviously it's more sophisticated than the high school offenses I'm talking about, but it reminded me of that. Not only just the entire game, but more specifically the last few drives where you've been up, well, not the whole game, but you've been up back and forth in this game, and you have a chance to put it away, and you just can't because your offense is so limited. And honestly, it's not like we don't have talent, because the biggest part for me that becomes an issue is not just that you're running this type of offense, but the mentality and the philosophy that comes with this type of offense. So, and again, I know we have our channel troll who hates me talking about Lamar, but that's the only offense you really can compare it to in the modern times. So we've seen what the Baltimore Ravens were able to do, and we know that it was very much a let Lamar run, guess what Lamar's going to run, and try to get some stuff off of that, whether that be play actions, shots, or rollout, screen, misdirection, whatever. So we've seen that offense, and we know it does not go far. It does not go far in this league, especially when you aren't as talented as the Ravens are. So watching this, I'm like, I get it. Like Justin is explosive. He's fast. He's a great athlete. And it's like, yeah, keep doing that. But I just honestly, I hate this offense. I like watching it today. I was just like, this is not what you want. You really just don't want that. First of all, even even if you had even if we were like scoring or whatever, I just the amount of times we're running Justin Fields made me uncomfortable. I'm like, he's fresh off an injury. Like, I know he's been out for a few weeks and all that, so he's had time to heal up, but he's still fresh off an injury. And the first time back, you want to have him running like that? Like, it was literally like just a high school college option offense. And we had some good plays off of that and everything, but I just hated watching it. That's not the type of offense that I personally want to see the Bears run. And while I've said before, I would want to give Justin the rest of this year. And honestly, until I watch the quarterbacks, I might change my mind. But right now, I feel like there's no sense in bringing in a quarterback. We need to build the roster. So I would keep Justin Fields for next year too, especially with Bajan, as you know, is a really quality backup. But watching it today, it makes me feel like, man, Justin is really not the long-term answer, because you get into passing situations, and while he's improved a little bit and while we improved as an offense and we've become a lot more creative, the meshing, I think, is becoming better in terms of what Getsy wants to do with his creativity plus what Justin Fields does best. So all of that's improving, but you can still see, I mean, Justin's not a completely different quarterback. He still has those issues. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and say Bajan is better. That's not my argument. But my point is, he has a lot of those similar issues that he had before. And so while it's nice that we're out here running high school option football, when it comes to passing and the offense being effective, we still have those issues. So the biggest thing for me, as you probably understand yourself, when you have especially four, because that number has been coming up a lot this year, but in general, when you win a turnover battle, especially if it's by 2-1, you should usually win. But when you have 4 turnovers, you look at the first few, and we get no points off of that. First, we end up punting after the first turnover, and then we get another turnover, and then we end up turning the ball over. So we just negated those. So you have 2 extra possessions in the first half that you don't capitalize any points off of. Now, at that point at half, you're not going to expect to get 2 more turnovers. So in my mind, I'm like, man, we really just screwed up. So we get 2 more turnovers, and this time we get 10 points off of those. So obviously you want to cash in touchdowns, but 10 points obviously better than none. So we kind of split it down the middle that way. So we can't say we were completely, anemic. But again, those 2 extra possessions in the first half, that's the game right. Either one of them is the game right there. So that shows you again, because we know, like any of these teams, like the 49ers, the Ravens, the Dolphins, I meant to say the Lions, but said the Dolphins, but also the Dolphins, even though it doesn't happen a lot. But those teams that that Chiefs, if they're a competitor, if the defense gives them the ball on a short field, they're going to cash that in. And the Bears are a type of team where we get the ball, and like we saw today, it's not a guarantee we get any points off of that, even with good field position. And so in terms of just us overall, we're not there yet. And I've said, I think we're close. I was just having this conversation the other night. That was last night. I was talking with some family, and it was just like, yeah, I think we're close. We not going to. We could probably make it this year. Honestly, if we upset the Lions and ripped off like 3 more wins or three in the total, we probably would be scratching for that 7th seed. But that's not the point. I'm not, even if we made the playoffs, that's not, I don't think we're competing this year. But I do think we're very close. And Jared Goff had an uncharacteristic day. I'm not going to say, I think our coverage, is solid, but I'm not going to sit here and say like we were doing something crazy that made him force the ball. Or I think he made some mistakes, and some mistakes that he usually does not make. And when you get a game like that, where again you get 4 turnovers, the quarterback's giving you the ball, much like the Jets' first game against the Bills, they're giving you the ball, and you can't, gas past them with the lead, and you can't stop them from a comeback. That shows you 2 things. Number one, your offense is not like that. they're not a contender type offense that's going to make you pay. And number two, it shows you again that the defense didn't just take the ball away, because I always say, people want to say turnovers, takeaways, giveaways, like it's the same thing. No, I always say there's a difference between takeaways and giveaways. Those were giveaways. Golf was giving us the ball. And so once you get 3 interceptions and everything, you're like, okay, we have to say we're out here dominating or doing something. That's not really always true, because then you watch the rest of the game and you see before the half, and you see at the end of the game, that offense, when it was really crunch time, really did what they had to do. So in spite of you getting 4 giveaways, in spite of the offense having extra shots and short fields, we still lose. And that tells you all you need to really know about this team. And so, people week to week want to win. Some people want to lose because of draft position. I'm more just looking at the roster right now. That's all I'm really caring about. And so, because there's a lot of options going forward, and people want to talk about what we should do. And it's harder for me. Like I said, I haven't watched any of the college kids yet, but we know seemingly there's going to be some tempting quarterbacks. But looking at the roster, to me, we definitely need another nickel. I've said from the beginning, Kyler Gordon is just not a fan of him in the nickel. And as I said, Stevenson is going to have his bumps, but he's going to get better throughout the year. He'll be even better next year. And he's a good, nice second corner to your Jalen Johnson. I don't think Stevenson is like going to be an elite player. I don't think Jalen Johnson is an elite corner. But I think with those two and with Brisker, you got a solid foundation that, at least so far, have been communicating well. Eddie Jackson needs to get replaced with somebody that is a little more willing in the run game, as well as being able to cover on the back end. But then we need a better nickel as well. Like, you got to think about, what if we had a Brian Branch? And Brian Branch, I was a big fan coming out. Not sure why his stock dropped a little bit, but Brian Branch, big fan coming out. You see the impact he's having. And so I think about him. I think about Kyle Hamilton with the Ravens. I think about, Kondo Fonga with the 49ers, even though he's kind of their traditional safety. But more and more, that nickel is really important. And I think having some type of hybrid there, especially one that's not afraid to tackle, that's a big key. Because I've said before, these secondaries that have continuity, and you have veteran guys that know how to communicate and don't give up a lot of coverage busts, those are going to be more important than just having one elite corner or anything, or even 2 elite corners. So I think we're building towards that, and we're close, but we need that. And of course, we need another edge rusher. I think Sweat is nice. It's nice to see how much attention he gets. Now, I don't think if you leave Sweat one-on-one, he's going to wreck the game, to be honest. But that's the only threat we really got. So you see the Lions and some other teams are going to focus on him. So that opens up things, but we're still not there. Much like I said, even with Cleveland. Now, Myles Garrett going to do his thing. But as a defense, when you put a Zadarius opposite him, now both sides of the pocket are collapsing. That completely changes the type of game you play on defense. So getting another edge guy is going to be important. And yeah, I mean, you would like to have a game changer on the interior, but that might be a luxury. I just think another edge, another nickel. And then offensive wise, again, you're going to start to have that question about Justin Fields, about what limitations do we have as an offense if he is the quarterback. And that's I think is a real question. But I do think you got time to develop. Now, in this league, we can get wins. I wouldn't say necessarily playing the way we play today, but we can get wins without a prolific quarterback, or at least prolific passing game, and play, winning off play action and all that stuff that kind of limits his options and gives him one person to throw to. We can get wins off that. But how far can you go into the playoffs like that? And so Justin, today I'm watching, I'm like, he might not be the future, man. I know there's a lot of people that on Justin for different reasons. There's people that because he's a black quarterback, they want him to have every pass. There's obviously people that are against the ownership or anybody that's not the players. So they're going to blame the coaches and polls and everybody. And me, it's a combination of all of it. No, they didn't develop, or they didn't give him the tools to develop as best as he could have. But also no, he didn't develop any of his ways either. And so either way, we are where we are. And that's a question. That's the big question that we're going to ask going forward. But today, I think as much as I feel we got talent, and we have improved and we're close to becoming contenders, or at least playoff contenders, today is the type of game that shows you that we're definitely still got a ways to go. So anyway, go to the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.